almost 3 years later, and my 1959 Epiphone Les Paul Standard is still one of the most beautiful Les Pauls I've ever seen. Welcome back to the channel, guys. Today I'm going to introduce you to my Epiphone Les Paul. We're going to talk about specs. I'm going to give you a little bit of a backstory on how I came to acquire this guitar, and there will be some sound bites giving examples of some tones peppered throughout, okay? To start off, it is a Epiphone 1959 Les Paul Standard. It's from 2022, which I believe was the first year they did the 1959 reissues in the Epiphone line. It even has the custom plaque. See if it goes there. There you go. So in collaboration with the Gibson Custom Shop, Epiphone produced these 1959s, and they have some really cool specs that make them special. Not as special nowadays since they're now doing this more frequently, but it was the first time that the Gibson burst puckers, the 2 and 3, were put into an Epiphone. They're also using Switchcraft toggle switches, CTS pots. They're using actual Gibson toggles, Switchcraft input jack. Everything is sort of the same spec that you would get on Gibson. Now the tuners are still Epiphone, and the bridge is still the Epiphone ABR1. But the good parts, the electronics, are all the same that you would find in a Gibson standard series, 50s or 60s, whichever. The neck is a Laurel fretboard with medium jumbo frets and fake mother of pearl inlays. It at first glance seems like you're getting gypped with the fake mother of pearl, but as I understand it, and correct me if I'm wrong in the comments, the original 1959s didn't have real mother of pearl either, and some of the Gibson Custom Shop reissues don't even have real mother of pearl. I'm a little hit or miss on it. I don't really care. I think these look cool. They're a little dusty and grayed out as compared to a real mother of pearl, but they're pretty cool otherwise. Fretwork is great on this particular model. None of the frets are like overhanging or sharp or anything like that. The nut is a Graphtec New Bone nut, which, you know, that's different than a Tusk nut, obviously, but for my money, I can't tell the difference between the two of them. I don't know what is different. They both are synthetic, self-lubricating nuts of one way or another. And I don't really notice a difference. The neck is the 1959 R9 style as far as thickness and shape. It's definitely a C shape. It's not flat in any way on the back, but it's not super thick like a 50s model in the Gibson or Epiphone lineups might be, and it's definitely not super thin like a 60s model might be, and it's absolutely nothing like some of my Jacksons in the back as far as thinness goes, but that's fine. It's not necessarily supposed to be that way. this color is the Sweetwater Aged Honeyburst, and I really like it quite a bit. And then the back is your typical like red mahogany look. Okay, now for the story. I started playing guitar again several years ago. I used to play my Jackson Warrior, which is actually over here. I have a review of this guitar on my channel if you'd like to look. Take a look and watch through that. That's the only guitar I've had for 20 years. And although I love it, I wanted to start learning how to play guitar again and learn some new stuff. You spend enough time on YouTube, you start to realize that you need a Les Paul, and more specifically, you need something that approximates an R9. If you watch YouTube guitar communities long enough, that's pretty much the consensus you come to. So I started getting on the hunt for a Les Paul, and I basically, had it narrowed down to sort of either like a low-end Gibson or a high-end Epiphone. The time when I was looking back in 2022, Epiphone had just come out with a lot of their inspired by Gibson line. So they had the 50s and 60s models, and then they had the 1959, which is supposed to be a custom shop R9 type thing. And I didn't know how to know what I liked. So they have different neck thicknesses. The 50s are thicker, the 60s are thinner, the 59s are in between, maybe not, whatever. 50s wiring is one way, 60s wiring is one way, who knows. The differences in the pickups were, I don't know, truthfully, they didn't mean anything to me when watching videos or listening online or anything like that. So I went down to my local guitar shop where I had an opportunity to play an array of Epiphones and Gibsons. I got to play both Epiphone and Gibsons, 50s and 60s, and then even the customs, the black and white customs for both brands as well, and then I got to play an Epiphone 1959. In the end, the one that spoke to me was the Epiphone 1959. That largely had to do with the feel of the neck, it being sort of in that in-between ground between a thick 50s neck and a thin 60s neck. What I also liked was the Gibson pickups. They sounded really good as opposed to the normal Epiphones that I was playing, and they sounded better than some of the Gibsons. I don't know if that has to do with the weight of the body or whatever tone wood nonsense. I don't know anything about that, but it actually, I ended up just playing for a while, if that makes sense. Whenever you're trying out a guitar, if you end up just playing for a while and you kind of feel like you lose track of time, then you know you've got the right guitar. The only problem with the one I tried in my guitar shop was the color. It was a lemon burst, which is just not an attractive color to me. So I went to the internet and started searching for alternate colors of the Epiphone 1959 Les Paul. That's when I came across Sweetwater and their exclusive Honeyburst, which I like very much. It's a subtle burst, which is not picking up on camera too well now. Oh, a little bit there on the top you can see. And of course, Sweetwater gives you the option to look at the various models that they have in stock so that you can pick the exact one that you end up getting shipped to you, which was helpful because I was able to pick the flame pattern that I liked. When this guitar finally arrived from Sweetwater, the moment I pulled it out of the case, I was like, I made a great decision. This is beautiful. I don't really play it very often anymore. I tend to play my Strat shapes more, especially my new Charvel. I have a review of that guitar on my channel as well if you'd like to see it. So I don't play this very much, but you know what? Even if it ends up just being a wall ornament, it looks so good that I'm okay with having paid the price for just a wall decoration. Okay, if you liked this guitar, leave a comment down below telling me what your favorite Les Paul is. And if you'd like to see more guitar reviews, anything that I have posted on the back wall, go ahead and subscribe to the channel and click the bell. You'll be notified when I post next. See you later.